he wanted to change the name from the Spinners to Felipe and the Spinners or something of that sort.
You spend a lot of time in preparation.
Well, actually, we find from the beginning, like with No Hit Records, that we had to come up with something different, you know, to be able to work. So we got the idea to try and be different from everybody else. So we.
What they never told you about Philippe Wynne will change the way you see this soul legend forever. His rumored sexuality was a closely guarded secret, especially during a time when being openly gay in the Motown scene could destroy your career.
There were a lot of women chasing them. I don't know how many caught them, but there are a lot chasing them.
Some say he hid his true self to survive in an industry filled with toxic masculinity and homophobia.
I said, you without the Spinners won't work. If I were you, I wouldn't make that mistake.
But behind the fame was a man battling addiction, a struggle that may have led to his death. Let's uncover the double life, the pain, and the truth the music industry tried to bury. Philippe Wynne was a talented soul singer best known as the lead voice of the Spinners.
She'll always have a dream.
He had a powerful voice, and his performances touched many hearts. But behind his success, there were quiet whispers about a secret part of his life. Some people close to him believed that Wynne might have been gay. During the time he was famous, being gay was not accepted by many, especially in the world of Motown music. That world was filled with men who had to act tough and masculine. If someone in the industry was found to be gay, they could lose everything: fans, money, and respect. Because of that, Wynne may have felt he had to hide who he truly was to protect his career. This secret side of his life added sadness to his story because he couldn't be open and free like he may have wanted, even though Wynne danced and smiled on stage. People say his real life was very different. Off the stage, he was believed to spend time in private clubs where other gay men would meet. These were quiet places where they felt safe. Wynne may have gone there to be around people who accepted him. He had to live two lives, one in the spotlight for fans, and one in the shadows where he could be himself. This double life must have been very hard. Some people believe that this struggle showed in the way he sang. He sang with deep feelings, like he had pain inside that needed to come out through music. His performances were full of heart, and some say it was because of the personal battles he was silently going through.
Rich man weak and knock him off his feet to have.
The people who worked with him, like managers and record label bosses, also played a part in keeping his rumored sexuality a secret. They didn't talk about it in public. They were worried that fans would stop buying his records if the truth came out. Back then, a man in soul music was expected to sing love songs to women and act in a way that fit the image of a strong, straight man. If someone did not fit that image, it was seen as bad for business. So the people around Wynne helped keep his secret, not necessarily to protect him, but to protect their money and the success of the music. Some people believe that Wynne's rumored hidden life made his music even more special. His voice often sounded soft, emotional, and full of longing. He used unique vocal styles that touched listeners deeply. Some music critics say that this came from his personal struggle to be accepted. They think that his feelings about hiding his true self helped him sing with such strong emotion. After Wynne passed away, people stopped talking about those personal rumors. Some fans and historians believe that people around him wanted to protect his image. They wanted to show him only as a fun, strong singer, not someone who may have struggled with his identity. Because of this, any signs that he might have been gay were pushed away or ignored. This makes people upset because they feel the real story of Wynne was erased. It also shows how many LGBTQ+ artists from the past have been hidden from the history of music. He may not have written all the songs, but the way he sang them made people feel like he understood pain and love in a deep way. When he sang, it was like he was telling a story that came straight from his heart. It all started when a man named Wynne joined a group called the Pacemakers. He became the lead singer. Wynne was very talented and had a strong, soulful voice. The Pacemakers were already a solid band, but with Wynne's voice leading the way, they started to sound even better. They practiced hard and stuck together, trying to find a big break. One day, everything changed. The Pacemakers were at King Records studio in their hometown of Cincinnati, Ohio. While they were there, they met a music legend, James Brown, also known as the Godfather of Soul. James Brown was famous for his energy, his dancing, and his tough style. He liked what he saw in the Pacemakers. He gave them a job as the house band at King Records. That meant they would play background music for other singers recording in the studio. This was a big deal because it gave them steady work and helped them learn even more about music. Because of that job, they got the chance to go on tour with other well-known artists like Hank Ballard and Marva Whitney. But something crazy happened after that tour. James Brown called them in a panic. His own band had just quit. People like Maceo Parker and others walked out on him, and he needed help fast. He asked the Pacemakers to join him and become his new band. They agreed, and from then on, they became known as the JBs. Once they joined James Brown, everything started moving fast. They helped him make some of his most famous songs. They played on hits like Sex Machine,
Get up, get on up, get up, get on up.
Super Bad,
I got soul, and I'm super bad.
Soul Power,
Skin.
and Bewildered. These songs became very popular, and the JBs were a big part of the reason why. But even though the music was great, working with James Brown wasn't easy. He had very strict rules. If a band member messed up even a little bit, like missing a note, James would take money out of their pay. He also started accusing Wynne's friend, Bootsy Collins, of using drugs, even when it wasn't true. James Brown was known for being difficult to work with, and after a few months, Wynne and the rest of the group had enough. They quit. After they left James Brown, Wynne and the others returned to Cincinnati. They wanted a fresh start, so they put together a new group called the House Guests. Around the same time, Wynne took another step in his journey. He traveled to Germany and became the lead singer of a group from Liberia called the Afro Kings. He performed with them for a while, singing and touring, but not long after that, he got a phone call that would change his life. The phone call was from the Spinners. They were looking for a new lead singer and a backing band. This was a big opportunity. But before we continue with Wynne's story, let's take a moment to talk about the Spinners. The Spinners were a group made up of 5 members: Billy Henderson, Henry Fambro, Purvis Jackson, Bobby Smith, and G.C. Cameron. G.C. Cameron was actually Wynne's cousin. In 1970, the Spinners finally had their first big hit. The song was called It's a Shame,
All along, the tale of
and it was written by Stevie Wonder and Sarita Wright. It became a big success, and many people still love that song today. But even after that hit, things weren't easy for the Spinners. Motown, their record label, didn't focus much on them. Motown was paying more attention to other big artists they had at the time. So the Spinners decided to leave Motown. They got advice from another music legend, Aretha Franklin. She told them they should join Atlantic Records, and that's what they did. At the time, Atlantic Records didn't have any male vocal groups, so the Spinners were a good fit. But there was one problem. G.C. Cameron, who had sung the hit It's a Shame, didn't want to leave Motown. He wanted to start a solo career, and he was also dating Gwen Gordy, the sister of Motown founder Berry Gordy. Because of that, G.C. stayed behind. Since G.C. Cameron couldn't go with them, he told the group they should bring in his cousin, Wynne. When the Spinners met with Wynne, they were impressed. They also liked the idea of bringing along his new band, the House Guests. Bootsy and his brother Catfish were part of that group. Even Eddie Kendricks from The Temptations supported Wynne. He told the Spinners that if they didn't sign Wynne, they were making a big mistake. So, the Spinners brought in Wynne as their new lead singer. But things didn't go exactly as planned with the band. Bootsy, Catfish, and the rest of the House Guests decided not to stay. Instead, they joined George Clinton's group Parliament because they liked funk music more. That was more their style. So Wynne stayed with the Spinners by himself, and the rest of the House Guests went their own way. Now, with Wynne as their new lead singer, the Spinners were ready for a fresh start. They were working with Atlantic Records and began working with a top producer named Thom Bell. Thom Bell had already produced hit songs for groups like the Delphonics and the Stylistics. He was one of the key people behind the famous Philly soul sound, which came from Philadelphia and was smooth, classy, and full of feeling. Thom Bell also worked closely with a brilliant songwriter named Linda Creed. She wrote beautiful lyrics that touched people's hearts. With Bell and Creed leading the way, the Spinners were ready to make music that would take the world by storm. Even though the Spinners were from Detroit, Thom Bell gave them that special Philly soul sound. It was a perfect match. In April 1973, the Spinners released their first album with Wynne as the lead singer. The album was self-titled, just called The Spinners. It became a huge hit. It went to #1 on the US Billboard Top Soul Albums chart and had 3 major singles that went to #1. Tremendous success with the Spinners. The first big hit was I'll Be Around, with Bobby Smith singing lead. That song stayed at #1 on the R&B chart for 5 weeks and sold over 1 million copies. The second single, Could It Be I'm Falling in Love, had both Bobby Smith and Wynne singing lead. That song also hit #1 on the R&B charts and #4 on the pop charts. It sold over 1 million copies too. The third hit was One of a Kind, Love Affair, with Wynne on lead vocals. That song also hit #1 on the R&B chart and stayed there for 4 weeks. It was later certified gold. The Spinners were on fire in the 1970s. They kept making hit songs one after another. But even as their success grew, Motown didn't forget about them. Motown released an album called Best of the Spinners. This album included songs from their time with Motown and VIP Records. They also decided to re-release Together We Can Make Such Sweet Music. It was originally a B-side but was given new life as an A-side single. Unfortunately, the song didn't do very well. It only made it to #91 in the US, even though it had a lot of promise. The Spinners also teamed up with Dionne Warwick for the hit song Then Came You. What's funny is that Warwick didn't even like the song at first. She didn't believe it would be a hit. The Spinners' lead singers, Bobby Smith and Philippe Wynne, took charge of the vocals. When the song was done, Warwick still wasn't impressed, but their producer, Thom Bell, had faith in it. He made a bet with Warwick. He told her that if the song didn't hit #1, he'd send her his half of a $100 bill. Well, the song did go to #1. It became Warwick's first ever #1 hit on the Billboard Hot 100. Warwick was so surprised that she sent Bell back the money with a note saying sorry. For Warwick, this song was her only major hit in the 1970s, a decade when her career was slowing down. Meanwhile, the Spinners kept making hits and stayed popular. Their music career really started to shine when they worked with a man named Thom Bell. He was a songwriter and music producer who helped them find their sound. The group signed with Atlantic Records, and that's when everything changed for them. Their album, Spinners, became a big success. It had 5 songs that made it into the top 100 music charts, and 2 of those songs reached the top 10. This meant that many people were listening to their songs on the radio, buying their records, and enjoying their music. One of their biggest songs was I'll Be Around. But funny enough, it wasn't even meant to be the main song. It was placed on the B-side of the record, which is usually the song people pay less attention to. The A-side was How Could I Let You Get Away? However, radio DJs started playing I'll Be Around instead, and people really liked it. The song became very popular very quickly. Atlantic Records noticed this and decided to switch things up. They made I'll Be Around the main song, and it ended up climbing to number 3 on the music charts. It was the group's first song to sell 1 million copies. Because of that, they were awarded a gold disc by the RIAA, a special honor in the music world. After this success, the Spinners then released Could It Be I'm Falling in Love. Just like the first, this song also sold 1 million copies. The Spinners were becoming a major force in soul music. People loved their smooth voices, catchy tunes, and emotional lyrics. It felt like every song they released became a hit. They were now one of the biggest names in R&B music. One of their songs, One of a Kind, Love Affair, caused a bit of a problem. Some people thought they heard a bad word in the lyrics. The line sounded like, "You just got to F her, yeah," which made many people upset. But others said it was actually, "You just gotta hug her, yeah." To stop more people from getting angry or confused, Atlantic Records decided to fix the song. They edited the part in question and re-released it. Even though there was some drama around the song, it still became a hit. The Spinners kept going strong with other songs like Ghetto Child, Mighty Love Pete It One, and I'm Coming Home. They were so popular that they were even competing with other top groups at the time, like the OJs. By the mid-1970s, the Spinners were one of the biggest soul groups in the world. They were known for releasing hit after hit, but not all their songs were successful. In 1976, they came out with Love or Leave and Wake Up Susan. Sadly, neither song made it to the top 40. This was a letdown for the group, but they didn't give up. Soon after, they released The Rubber Band Man, and it became a huge success. Hey, y'all, prepare yourself for the rubber band. This song was written by Thom Bell and a songwriter named Linda Creed. The song had a special meaning. Thom Bell was inspired by his son, who was teased for being overweight. At first, the song was called The Fat Man, but they changed it to The Rubber Band Man. The new name sounded better and friendlier. The song was a big hit and brought the group back on top. The Rubber Band Man became a classic, but it was also the last major hit where Philippe Wynne sang lead. Philippe was one of the most powerful voices in the group, but behind the scenes, things were not going well. Philippe and Thom Bell were having problems. Philippe wanted the group to be renamed Philippe Wynne and the Spinners, but the other members didn't like that idea. This caused more arguments. After fighting with Bell, Philippe left the group. He was replaced by another singer named John Edwards, who had already released some R&B songs on his own. After Philippe left, the Spinners still made music, but they didn't have as many hits as before. Their connection with Thom Bell also ended. They did record 2 songs for a movie that Bell was working on, and they even appeared in the film. But as the 1980s and 1990s came around, things got harder. The music world was changing, and new styles were becoming popular. Younger fans were interested in hip-hop, pop, and other types of music. It became harder for the Spinners to stay popular. Health problems and changes in group members also made it tough to keep things going. Behind all the music, there were also some very sad personal stories. Many of the group's original members have passed away over the years. Purvis Jackson, Bobby Smith, and Henry Fambro are no longer with us. Philippe Wynne also had a life full of ups and downs. He had both great success and deep pain. Philippe Wynne was born in Cincinnati, Ohio, When he was a child, his parents divorced. Philippe and his 3 siblings were sent to an orphanage called the New Orphan Asylum for Colored Children. His father, Degree Walker, got custody, but he had to work far away. Their mother moved to Detroit with another man. Philippe once said it was very painful knowing both his parents were alive, but none of them were raising their children. This left a deep mark on him. In the 1960s, Philippe moved to Detroit and started singing gospel music with his brother Michael. He later switched to R&B. He joined Bootsy Collins' band, The Pacemakers, and then sang with a group called the Afro Kings. After that, he replaced his cousin, G.C. Cameron, as the lead singer of the Spinners. This is where his fame really took off. After leaving the group, Philippe tried to start a solo career. He was managed by TV personality Alan Thicke. He also started his own record label and publishing company. But sadly, his solo career never reached the same heights as his time with the Spinners. Philippe's personal life was filled with sadness. He married a woman named Ava LaFleur in 1973. They had 2 sons, Alvarez and Emmanuel. The family moved to California but later split up. Tragedy struck when both of Philippe's sons died. Alvarez was killed in a drive-by shooting in 1999. Emmanuel died in 2001 when he drowned while trying to save someone else. His bravery was honored with a Carnegie Medal. Philippe himself passed away on July 14, 1984, after suffering a heart attack during a performance in Oakland, California. He was only 43 years old. In 2023, many years after his death, Philippe Wynne was honored when the Spinners were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It was a special moment to remember his talent, his voice, and the impact he had on soul music. Even though life brought him both joy and pain, his music continues to live on.